Budget cuts of $500 million to California courts began this week. That trickles down to about $14 million cut from San Diego County courts. As of Tuesday, 6 criminal courtrooms and 1 civil courtroom in downtown are closed. In Vista, 1 juvenile dependency court and the probate court are closed and relocated to downtown San Diego. Ramona's traffic and small claims courts are closed and relocated to Escondido. Also, every Friday, all courthouse business offices will close at noon. Here to explain how these changes could impact legal access is Judge David Danielsen, Assistant Presiding Judge of San Diego County Superior Court. Judge Danielsen, thank you so much for talking with us today. Explain to us how these changes and these closures will impact everyday folks. Mostly, who will they impact?
Eventually everyone. Because these are really the first of a series of changes. The cuts are going to go much deeper over the remainder of the year, leading up to the start of the next fiscal year.
So when it comes to criminals, isn't there a law, the right to a speedy trial? How is this going to affect that? Well,
the overall look of the courthouse is going to be a much slimmer organization, and the sort of the detriment that comes from these kinds of cuts is going to fall disproportionately on civil, on probate, to family to a certain extent, because we do have constitutional obligations to the criminal courts. We're going to give that priority, as well as handling juvenile matters will have priority. And there are some provisions that have been made for emergencies, for instance, temporary restraining orders. Also, when it comes to child abuse, child neglect, are there provisions to take care of that? Yes. You know, whenever we close access to services, we have to take into account the need to have someone available 24 hours a day for search warrants, for emergency protective orders, for bail increases for significant criminals that have been arrested on felony charges. So that's all part of the plan, is that there will be access to justice. I understand all civil court reporters, meaning the stenographers who document everything that's said in the courtroom, will be laid off. How will that impact people going to trial? Well, the question then is going to be, how is a record of the proceedings made? The court is not going to be hiring and paying for court reporters, so that if someone wants, in a civil, probate, or in some family matters, a court reporter, they need to bring their own. They'll have to hire their own. There will be no verbatim record. The clerks will be continuing to take the minutes and the notes that they're required to take, and the judge will make decisions, but there's going to be no verbatim record for free. And I understand. So that, just to follow up on that question, that's going to make a difference. If you have a lot of money, you'll be able to hire your own court reporter. What if you don't? Well, certainly those who can afford to do so have the right to hire their own court reporter. And for those of us that care about the quality of justice, that means, to a certain extent, those that don't have the financial wherewithal will be, in fact, be disenfranchised, at least to that extent. And I understand there's another 75 workers who will also be let go. Who are they, and are any of them judges? The law does not permit us to eliminate judgeships or to terminate judges during the course of a term of office. So that is one of the things that can happen. In our budget situation, the most significant cost to the courts day to day are people, the people that work for us. So those extra 75, in addition to a number of people that have taken early retirement, have been incentivized out of the organization, in addition to the additional court reporters that have been terminated, those people are clerks, independent calendar clerks, court operations clerks. They're the people that process the paperwork and actually do the work that keeps the court going. And this is just the beginning. There are more cuts coming. Tell us what we can expect in the near future. Well, I think as we look to the end of this year, there is going to be, in addition to the court reporters leaving, there will be termination of court employees. We're planning on closing a number of civil independent calendar courtrooms and eliminating the staff there, reassigning those judges. The small claims work is going to be centralized so that there will be no more small claims filings, no civil filings, no business office in the South Bay and the East. All of that work will be transferred downtown. All right, and then I guess for all these, we're kind of anticipating, I don't know if that's the word, what would your advice be to people in trying to navigate the legal system during this cutback time? Well, there's two bits of advice. Number one is the impact of all of this is going to slow down things, so that unless you're in a high-profile criminal case, unless you're in a high-profile juvenile matter, the rest of the court system is going to be operating much more deliberately, much more slowly. So plan ahead. The second bit of
Plan
advice.
ahead by staying out of trouble.
That's my second bit of advice. Be reasonable, stay out of court.
All right, Judge Danielsen, we're out of time. Thank you so much for talking with us about this.
Yeah, it's good.